Welcome to This Explainer. We're jumping straight into something incredibly unique today. What we're looking at isn't some polished self-help book or a heavily edited academic paper. Not at all. Instead, we are cracking open a raw, completely unfiltered set of private journal entries. The author actually calls these writings the Subconscious Architect, Journals on Wisdom and Transformation. We've gone through and extracted the absolute core insights from these deeply personal, middle-of-the-night epiphanies to build a really profound guide on how life actually works. So let's dive right in and see exactly what an unfiltered mind can teach us about reality. To bring a little order to these scattered and fascinating thoughts, we've structured this explainer into 6 overarching pillars. We've got 1, the hidden subconscious mind; 2, wisdom, values, and control; 3, action over empty excuses; 4, the ultimate utilization system; 5, time and the fleeting life; and finally, 6, finding true internal purpose. All right, let's kick things off with our first pillar, the hidden subconscious mind. Basically, our internal operating system. So we really need to dive deep inside the mind to figure out where our ideas actually come from in the first place, right? Because this internal operating system is built way before we even realize it. The author makes this super specific and frankly fascinating observation in the journal. They were watching that movie, The Great Wall, and they noticed this plot point where the characters stop these monsters by mixing tear gas with poison. And boom, it suddenly clicks for the author. Someone they knew had literally just pitched this exact same concept as a brilliant new idea. But here's the kicker. They had actually watched this exact movie together 6 years prior. The author realizes that these seemingly new, genius ideas we have are often just resurfaced memories, logged deep, deep within our subconscious. We're just pulling from what we've already seen. It means our minds are constantly building our future out of the hidden bricks of our past. And it's wild how this subconscious programming actually dictates our life's trajectory. Like the journal notes that as a kid, the author completely avoided fixing other people's problems, just wanted no part of it, stayed quiet, and kept to themselves. Yet, in their adult reality, coaching and fixing people's problems literally became their life's work. The takeaway here is absolutely fascinating. The very things we actively resist or avoid when we're young, they often become our defining traits later on. It's like our early resistance is actually a hidden subconscious signpost pointing us to the exact path we're destined to walk. Moving outward, we hit part 2, wisdom, values, and control, and all the friction that happens with the outside world. Now that we kind of get how our internal programming works, what happens when it smashes into the real world? Well, that's where we get some profound friction. I mean, have you ever tried to give someone really good advice and they just completely ignore it, leaving you incredibly frustrated? The author hits on a stark truth about human behavior right here. Trying to force change or trying to teach people when they just aren't ready, it only leads to frustration, lost dignity, and you just lose all control of the situation. The author literally writes about opening offices and starting groups to teach people, only to end up super disappointed. The real shift, it happens when you decide to just let it go. True wisdom, according to the journal, is keeping silent. By not forcing your advice on anyone and simply letting your actions and your results do the talking, you maintain complete control of yourself. Your behavior actually becomes the ultimate teacher. But wait, this friction isn't just with other people. It happens inside ourselves too. Understanding the core cause of our own internal dissatisfaction is absolutely crucial. The journal points out that unhappiness really takes root when we don't live by clear values. Or worse, when we break the exact values we claim to hold. For example, we demand and show total respect to our friends and our elders, right? But then we frequently neglect to show that exact same respect to children. This kind of hypocrisy, this breaking of our own internal values, it creates this massive inner conflict that just quietly drains our happiness day after day. Which brings us to part 3, action over empty excuses. This is a major turning point. Things transition from philosophical thoughts to a deeply personal, really intense moment here. It involves shame, family pressure, and finally taking real grounded action. We get to read this highly vulnerable anecdote. So the author's father, who had apparently been fronting them some money, suddenly stops and asks what the author has actually built with it. And when the author tries to stumble through some excuses, the dad just completely cuts them off with this harsh truth. I don't listen to excuses. Show me results. Wow. The journal describes this deep, piercing feeling of shame in that moment. But it was a totally necessary pain. It forced this sudden realization that they alone are responsible for their financial independence. And that sparked an immediate radical shift in their behavior. So, abandoning years of what we call analysis paralysis, the author literally takes action the very next day. They take $1,000 and decisively allocate half of it to charity and half to investments. It's a pretty small amount in the grand scheme of things, but the size really isn't the point here. By taking this tiny, decisive action, the author notes feeling instantly grounded. They felt smart and anchored. They realized, hey, God doesn't listen to excuses about not having enough either. It's entirely about what you do with what you already have. It proves you don't need a massive fortune to change how life works for you. You just need to anchor a brand new habit through immediate, tiny actions.
Okay, part 4. The ultimate utilization system, which is all about extracting total value.
With this new bias toward actually getting things done, the journal shifts gears into the raw mechanics of success. The author comes up with this concept called ultimate utilization, and honestly, it is a masterclass in efficiency. They explain it using this brilliant everyday metaphor. In a normal kitchen, uneducated people basically waste the waste. They eat the egg and they toss the shell in the trash. But highly resourceful people, and by extension, successful companies, they extract every single ounce of value. They use the egg for food, sure, but then they take those leftover shells and actually use them for skincare. This is the core operating system of successful people. They literally leave zero value on the table. And you can apply this exact same eggshell philosophy directly to modern business and content creation. Think about it. Successful people don't just have a really good routine discussion and then forget about it. No, they record that discussion for a YouTube video. From there, they chop it up into YouTube shorts. Then they strip the audio out to make a podcast. And finally, they hand the script over to become a blog post. It's an entire cascading empire built from just one single effort. That is ultimate utilization in action.
Now we hit part 5, time and the fleeting life, the inevitable truth.
So right in the middle of writing down all these super practical business models and systems, the journal delivers this sudden, sobering realization about time. It's probably the most raw entry in the whole collection. The author was just lying in bed, looking out at the moon. They got distracted by some random passing thought. And when they looked back a minute later, the moon had slipped completely out of sight. And it triggered this unedited, profound epiphany, which they wrote down exactly like this. Life never stops for you. It is slowly slipping in front of us. We don't even notice, but it is. The raw, uncorrected grammar in the diary just emphasizes the sudden emotional weight of it. Time waits for absolutely no one's plans. It's a total emotional gut punch. The journal serves as the stark reminder of the ultimate cost of our daily distractions. We are constantly losing our age, our time, our family, and our friends, all while we keep ourselves incredibly busy with entirely useless things. We just take the present moment for granted, naturally assuming it's always going to be there. But one day, we're going to look up, just like the author looking for the moon, and realize that those people and that time are gone forever, and there's absolutely no getting them back. Finally, part 6, finding true internal purpose through what the author calls the executive approach. Knowing that our time is relentlessly slipping away, we absolutely must make sure we're spending it the right way. The final entries of the journal focus on how to properly align our daily actions with our true purpose. Instead of endlessly starting and abandoning a dozen different side projects, the author distills true success down to 3 ridiculously simple, highly disciplined steps. 1. Choose any one thing. Just one. 2. Learn a little bit about it. Maybe just watch a quick video to solve the immediate roadblock. And 3. Do it and keep doing it until it is completely finished. I know it sounds almost too simple, but this level of singular focus is the exact opposite of how most distracted people are living today. This is the executive approach to actually making a real dent in the world. But here's the catch. Applying this executive approach requires a massive shift in your mindset. You really have to evaluate why you're choosing that one thing in the first place. The author admits to spending 3 whole years chasing external tactics, obsessing over the newest AI tools, gaming platforms, chasing external motivations. And the result? Total frustration, 0 actual results, and they started losing the trust of their audience. The big breakthrough happens when you finally switch to internal motivation. You have to focus on learning and teaching the things that naturally come from inside you. You have to stop watering the weeds and start watering your own internal seed, because that is how you find true value and genuine enthusiasm. The diary reveals this really beautiful truth about what happens when you finally step into the work you're actually built for. The author realizes that they aren't just a job title or a label. They are a teacher of mental models. As it turns out, people are drawn to the underlying traits, the values, and the mental models you embody, rather than just the superficial labels or the flashy tactics you use. When you slowly get closer to your true, authentic niche, you naturally step outside of those draining communities, and you finally understand the real value of the problems you're solving for other people. As we wrap up this explainer on the subconscious rules of how life really works, we want to leave you with a final, provocative thought pulled straight from these journals. I want you to take a hard look at your daily routines, your business, and your relationships today. Are you being driven by hollow, external tactics that are just leaving you frustrated and spinning your wheels? Or are you finally watering the genuine, authentic talents that are coming from inside of you? Because remember, the moon is moving, and our time is slipping away without us even noticing. Make sure you are watering the right things. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive into the subconscious mind.